Before we begin, take a moment to support our channel. If you enjoy scientific stories and want to explore more amazing facts about the human body, make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our upcoming videos. Your support helps us bring more interesting and educational content to you. Now, get ready to enter one of the most fascinating journeys in science. A journey inside the human brain, the incredible organ that controls our thoughts, memories, emotions, and everything that makes us who we are. Let's begin. In the silence of the night, billions of people around the world are sleeping. Some are dreaming about distant places. Some are deeply resting, and some are unconsciously processing the events of the day. While the world appears calm and quiet, inside every human body, an extraordinary universe remains active every second. That universe is the human brain, hidden safely inside the skull, protected by layers of bone and fluid, lies an organ that weighs only about 1.5 kilograms. It may not look impressive from the outside, but its abilities are beyond imagination. The brain controls every heartbeat, every breath, every movement, every memory, every emotion, and every thought that makes us who we are. The story of the brain begins with a simple question. How does this small organ create the experience of life? One morning, a young boy named Aaron slowly opens his eyes. Before he even realizes that he is awake, his brain has already started working. The sound of birds outside the window, the brightness of sunlight entering the room, and the feeling of the bed beneath him are all being processed by his brain. The amazing thing is that the brain does not directly see the world. The brain has no eyes, no ears, and no ability to touch objects. Instead, it receives information from different parts of the body and creates a complete picture of reality. When sunlight enters Aaron's eyes, special cells inside the eye detect the light. These cells transform the light into electrical signals. The signals travel through a pathway called the optic nerve and reach the visual area of the brain. Within a fraction of a second, the brain analyzes these signals and creates an image. Aaron believes that he is directly seeing the tree outside his window. However, what he is actually experiencing is the result of billions of calculations happening inside his brain. The brain is not simply a camera that records information. It is an intelligent system that interprets, compares, and understands information. When Aaron sees a tree, his brain compares the shape, color, and pattern with previous memories. It recognizes the object as a tree because of the knowledge stored inside neural networks. This incredible ability is possible because of the most important cells in the brain, neurons. The human brain contains approximately 86 billion neurons. These microscopic cells form a massive communication network that allows humans to think, learn, remember, and experience emotions. A neuron is a specialized cell designed to send and receive information. Although a single neuron is extremely small, together billions of neurons create one of the most complex systems in nature. A neuron has 3 main parts: dendrites, the cell body, and the axon. The dendrites act like antennas. They receive messages from other neurons. The cell body processes these messages and decides what action should be taken. The axon works like a communication cable, carrying signals to other neurons or body cells. However, neurons do not physically touch each other. Between two neurons exists a tiny space called a synapse. When an electrical signal reaches the end of a neuron, it releases chemical messengers called neurotransmitters. These chemicals cross the synapse and deliver information to the next neuron. This process happens millions of times every second throughout the brain. Every thought Aaron has, every decision he makes, and every movement he performs depends on this complex communication system. Imagine Aaron deciding to pick up a pencil from his desk. To a person watching him, it appears to be a simple action. But inside his brain, an enormous chain of events begins. First, his eyes detect the pencil. The visual cortex processes the information. Another region of the brain decides that he wants to pick it up. The motor cortex creates a plan for movement. Then electrical signals travel from the brain through the spinal cord and into the nerves controlling his arm and hand. The muscles receive the signals and contract. In less than a second, millions of neurons work together to complete a simple movement. The brain is often compared to a computer, but it is much more advanced than any computer created by humans. A computer follows program instructions. The human brain can create new ideas, adapt to unexpected situations, and learn from experience. This special ability is called neuroplasticity. For many years, scientists believed that the adult brain was fixed and could not change significantly. However, modern neuroscience has shown that the brain continuously changes throughout life. Every time a person learns something new, the connections between neurons become stronger or new connections are formed. When Aaron learns a new language, practices mathematics, plays a musical instrument, or develops a new skill, his brain physically changes. A musician who practices every day strengthens the areas of the brain responsible for hearing and controlling movement. A scientist who spends years studying complex ideas develops stronger networks related to reasoning and problem solving. The brain is constantly rebuilding itself based on experiences. This ability explains why humans can continue learning throughout their entire lives. But the brain does much more than control learning and movement. It is also responsible for emotions. Inside the brain exists a group of structures called the limbic system. This system plays an important role in feelings, motivation, and survival. One important structure within this system is the amygdala. The amygdala acts like an emotional alarm system. Imagine Aaron walking through a forest and suddenly seeing a snake. Before he consciously thinks about the danger, his brain reacts. The amygdala quickly analyzes the situation and activates a survival response. His heart begins beating faster. His breathing becomes quicker. His muscles become ready for action. This automatic reaction is called the fight or flight response. Thousands of years ago, this system helped humans survive dangerous situations. Even today, the same mechanism protects people from threats. However, the brain also creates positive emotions such as happiness, love, and excitement. When Aaron meets someone he loves, his brain releases chemicals such as dopamine and oxytocin. These chemicals influence feelings of pleasure, connection, and happiness. The brain is not only a machine for survival. It is also the source of human relationships and experiences. Every friendship, every memory, every dream, and every ambition begins inside the activity of the brain. As Aaron continues his journey through life, his brain keeps collecting information from the world around him. Every conversation he has, every place he visits, every person he meets, and every experience he feels becomes part of a huge network of memories. But how does the brain store memories? For a long time, scientists considered memory one of the greatest mysteries of the human mind. A memory is not stored like a file inside a computer. Instead, it is created through patterns of activity between billions of neurons. Deep inside the brain lies a small but extremely important structure called the hippocampus. The hippocampus works like a memory organizer. It helps transform temporary experiences into long-term memories. When Aaron learns something new, such as the name of a new friend or a scientific concept, his brain first holds that information temporarily. If the information is important or repeated many times, the brain strengthens the connections between neurons and stores it for a longer period. This process is called memory consolidation. Imagine Aaron learning how to ride a bicycle for the first time. At the beginning, his movements are uncertain. His brain has not yet created strong connections for balancing, controlling speed, and coordinating his muscles. He falls several times, but each attempt teaches his brain something new. Slowly, neurons communicate more efficiently. The pathways become stronger. After enough practice, riding a bicycle becomes almost automatic. This is why practice changes the brain. The phrase, "practice makes perfect," has a scientific explanation. Repeated actions strengthen neural pathways. The brain becomes faster and more efficient at performing tasks that are practiced regularly. Memory is also connected with emotions. Have you ever remembered a childhood moment because of a smell, a song, or a place? This happens because emotional experiences create stronger memories. The amygdala, which processes emotions, works together with the hippocampus to mark certain experiences as important. For example, if Aaron experiences his first day at school, the nervous feeling, excitement, new faces, and special moments may create a powerful memory that stays for many years. The brain decides which information is valuable and which information can be forgotten. Forgetting is not a failure of the brain. It is actually an important function. Imagine remembering every single detail of every day of your life. The brain would become overloaded with unnecessary information. Therefore, the brain constantly removes less important information while strengthening useful memories. This process allows humans to focus, learn, and adapt. Another fascinating function of the brain is sleep. Many people believe that sleep is simply a time when the brain rests. However, sleep is actually one of the busiest periods for the brain. When Aaron goes to sleep at night, his brain begins performing important maintenance work. During sleep, the brain organizes memories, processes emotions, repairs damaged cells, and prepares itself for the next day. Scientists have discovered that sleep occurs in different stages. One important stage is called rapid eye movement sleep, or REM sleep. During this stage, brain activity becomes very high, and many vivid dreams occur. Dreams remain one of the most fascinating mysteries in neuroscience. Scientists believe dreams may help the brain process emotions, organize memories, and simulate possible situations. When Aaron dreams about solving a problem, meeting people, or visiting unknown places, his brain is creating experiences using stored information. Although dreams may appear strange and random, they often contain elements from memories, emotions, and imagination. Another important part of sleep is the removal of waste products from brain. During deep sleep, a cleaning system called the glymphatic system becomes active. It helps remove harmful substances that accumulate during normal brain activity. This is one reason why proper sleep is essential for maintaining brain health. A person who does not get enough sleep may experience difficulty concentrating, poor memory, emotional changes, and reduced problem-solving ability. The brain requires energy to perform all these tasks. Although the brain represents only around 2% of the body's total weight, it consumes approximately 20% of the body's energy. Every second, billions of neurons require oxygen and glucose to maintain their activity. The brain receives this energy through a complex network of blood vessels. These vessels deliver oxygen-rich blood and nutrients to every region of the brain. This is why a healthy lifestyle is extremely important for brain function. The food people eat, the amount of exercise they perform, their sleeping habits, and their stress levels all influence brain health. Regular physical activity improves blood circulation and supports the growth of new neural connections. Exercise can increase the production of chemicals that support brain cells and improve mood. A balanced diet provides essential nutrients that help neurons communicate effectively. Learning new skills, reading books, solving problems, and engaging in creative activities also keep the brain active. The brain is like a muscle in one important way. The more it is used, the stronger and more efficient it becomes. However, the brain also controls one of the most complex experiences of human life: consciousness. Consciousness is the awareness of ourselves and the world around us. When Aaron looks at the sky and thinks about the universe, when he remembers the past, or when he imagines the future, he is experiencing consciousness. Scientists are still trying to understand how physical activity inside the brain creates thoughts, feelings, and self-awareness. Billions of electrical signals move through the brain every second, yet somehow they create a personal experience called being alive. This question remains one of the greatest challenges in neuroscience. The brain also allows humans to communicate through language. When Aaron speaks, several areas of his brain work together. One region helps produce words, another helps understand meaning, and others control the muscles needed for speech. Language is one of the abilities that makes humans unique. Through language, humans can share knowledge, express emotions, preserve history, and pass ideas from one generation to another. A single sentence can carry information from one person's brain to another person's brain. In this way, language creates a connection between different minds. The brain also allows humans to create art, music, and imagination. When a painter creates a picture, when a composer writes a song, or when a scientist imagines a new invention, the brain combines memories, knowledge, and creativity. Creativity is not a magical process. It is the result of millions of neural connections working together in new ways. Every invention in human history began as an idea inside someone's brain. The buildings humans construct, the medicines they discover, the technology they develop, and the questions they ask about the universe all begin with the activity of neurons. The human brain is not just an organ inside the body. It is the place where knowledge, emotion, imagination, and identity come together. As Aaron grows older, his brain continues to change. From childhood to adulthood, the brain goes through a long journey of development. Every experience, every lesson, and every challenge shapes the way his brain works. When a baby is born, the brain is already filled with billions of neurons. However, these neurons are not fully connected. During childhood, the brain rapidly creates new connections as the child learns about the world. A baby learns to recognize faces, understand sounds, control movements, and communicate. Each new experience strengthens specific areas of the brain. When a child learns to walk, thousands of neurons coordinate muscles, balance, and body position. When a child learns a language, the brain creates complex networks that allow understanding and communication. The early years of life are extremely important because the brain is highly adaptable during this period. As Aaron becomes a teenager, his brain enters another stage of development. One of the last areas of the brain to fully mature is the prefrontal cortex. The prefrontal cortex is located at the front of the brain and plays a major role in decision-making, planning, self-control, and understanding consequences. Because this region develops gradually, teenagers may sometimes make quick decisions based on emotions rather than careful thinking. This is not because their brains are weaker. Their brains are simply still developing. As adulthood begins, the brain becomes more efficient. It learns how to balance emotions with logical thinking, allowing people to make complex decisions. However, throughout life, the brain continues changing. This ability to adapt is one of the greatest advantages of the human brain. But despite its incredible power, the brain is also vulnerable. Certain diseases and injuries can affect the way the brain functions. One serious condition is a stroke. A stroke occurs when the blood supply to a part of the brain is interrupted. Since brain cells require oxygen and nutrients from blood, a lack of blood flow can damage neurons. The effects of a stroke depend on which area of the brain is affected. If the region controlling movement is damaged, a person may experience weakness or paralysis. If language areas are affected, communication may become difficult. However, because of neuroplasticity, the brain sometimes has the ability to reorganize itself and recover some lost functions through rehabilitation. Another important brain disorder is Alzheimer's disease. Alzheimer's disease mainly affects memory and thinking abilities. In this condition, Abnormal changes occur inside and around brain cells, causing gradual damage. At first, a person may forget small details. Over time, the disease can affect communication, recognition, and daily activities. Scientists around the world continue researching ways to understand, prevent, and treat such conditions. Another neurological disorder is Parkinson's disease. Parkinson's disease affects movement because certain brain cells responsible for producing dopamine become damaged. Dopamine is a chemical messenger involved in movement, motivation, and reward. When dopamine levels decrease, people may experience tremors, stiffness, and difficulty controlling movements. These diseases remind us that maintaining brain health is essential. The brain also responds strongly to stress. Short-term stress can be useful. For example, before an important exam or dangerous situation, stress hormones can help a person stay alert and focused. However, long-term stress can negatively affect the brain. Continuous stress can influence memory, emotions, and decision-making. This is why relaxation, physical activity, healthy relationships, and proper sleep are important for maintaining a balanced brain. The human brain is also closely connected with the immune system and the rest of the body. Scientists once believed that the brain worked independently from the body, but modern research has shown that the brain constantly communicates with other organs. The gut, for example, has a strong connection with the brain. This relationship is sometimes called the gut-brain connection. The microorganisms living inside the digestive system can influence chemicals related to mood and brain function. This shows that the human body works as one connected system. As technology advances, scientists are trying to understand the brain even more deeply. One exciting field is the development of artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence researchers study the principles of human intelligence to create machines that can learn, recognize patterns, and solve problems. Modern AI systems can analyze huge amounts of information and perform many tasks efficiently. However, AI and the human brain are still very different. A computer can process information extremely quickly, but it does not experience emotions, imagination, personal memories, or consciousness like a human brain. The human brain can understand context, create meaning, and adapt to completely new situations. This ability makes the brain unique. Scientists are also developing brain-computer interfaces. These technologies aim to create direct communication between the brain and electronic devices. In the future, such systems may help people with paralysis control artificial limbs or communicate through brain signals. Although these technologies are still developing, they show the incredible possibilities of neuroscience. The future of brain research may reveal answers to some of humanity's greatest questions. How exactly does consciousness appear? How are emotions created? Can damaged brain cells be repaired? Can human memory be enhanced? Scientists continue searching for answers. Every discovery brings us closer to understanding ourselves. The journey of the brain is not just a scientific story. It is the story of human existence. Every smile, every tear, every invention, every dream, and every act of kindness begins with activity inside this remarkable organ. The brain allows humans to look at the stars and ask questions about the universe. It allows people to explore oceans, create technology, write stories, compose music, and discover the laws of nature. The same brain that studies the universe is also the brain that wonders about itself. Perhaps the greatest mystery in science is that the brain is trying to understand a brain. A collection of billions of tiny cells has created thoughts powerful enough to study its own existence. Inside every human head exists a universe of electrical signals, chemical messages, memories, and possibilities. Every second, billions of neurons communicate silently. They create our thoughts. They shape our emotions. They preserve our memories. They build our dreams. The brain is not simply an organ that controls the body. It is the foundation of human experience. It is where the past is remembered, where the present is experienced, and where the future is imagined. And as long as humans continue to learn, explore, and ask questions, the incredible journey of understanding the brain will continue. Because the story of the brain is ultimately the story of who we are.